In a recent video, Mr. Cropper analyzed a specious claim that telepathy or ESP was somehow evidence for some supernatural deity, a god, to explain away the variance between those reports and what we know about in terms of how we normally communicate with other human beings. Now, he's already refuted that, and I wanted to put his argument into a historical context by relating something about the history of Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia wasn't always one country. It was most recently unified by King Abdulaziz in the 1930s when, leading his Wahhabist warriors, they reconquered Najd and the rest of Saudi Arabia all the way to the Hijaz. Now the Hijaz, where Mecca and Medina is, was previously ruled by a Hashemite king who had been installed by the British. Now the Hashemites had kings ruling in the Hijaz, also in Jordan, and also in Iraq. Now the one in Iraq was deposed by probably the Baathists, I believe, and the king in Jordan is still a Hashemite. So anyways, after Abdulaziz's warriors reconquer the Hijaz for the House of Saud, one of the advantages that he had was technology, such as wireless radio, so that his widespread kingdom, he could communicate back and forth from various points and move troops around to maintain his control by sending radio messages. Now, the religious leaders of Mecca, who were used to living under the rule of the Hashemites, weren't too happy about the fact that Abdul Aziz had come in and taken Mecca. In fact, much Saudi Arabian foreign policy today is still oriented towards justifying the House of Saud's conquest of the Hijaz. But anyways, the head religious leader of Mecca was not happy about the fact that this wireless radio was going to be installed as a way to cement the power of the House of Saud over all of their conquered territory. So what he did was he put forward a specious claim that Satan was the one that was carrying the radio messages from the transmitter to the receiver, and therefore he made an edict that it was against Islam to use radio. Now, King Abdulaziz was no fool. He knew how important it was to hold his power to use radio. And so what he did to prove that Satan wasn't carrying the messages over the radio waves from the transmitter to the receiver was to have passages of the Quran read over the radio waves. So a couple points from this story. First, yes, the explanations are bizarre. Second, that what Mr. Cropper is talking about actually has some historical precedent for these types of arguments being made. Third, that titularly religious people, to achieve secular ends or ends in the actual world, will make bogus religious arguments in order to advance their cause, and that their followers often completely are ignorant of or forget over time the reasons for which such odd arguments were made in the first place.